Welcome everybody to episode 11. Whoa. We're 11 episodes in already. This is crazy. How you doing, Elon?
I'm doing okay.
Hey,
How are
man.
you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just excited for tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. If you're here already, say hello in the comments. Let's see. Oh, we already have questions. Look at that. We're gonna star them.
Oh my
Bam.
gosh. It's like
There
people
we go.
knew.
What we posted. So yeah, welcome to episode 11. This is just I guess a tradition as we put it in the comments. Well, I say we, Elon. He writes out all those comments. So if you wonder where the wit comes from, Mr. Osborne. He's somewhat of a scientist himself. But yeah, so this is going to be just a ask us anything. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of like every episode that ends with a one. We're gonna do that. We try to maybe not do that so much because there's so many other channels that just do nothing but that. Nothing against those channels. It's just we want to talk about other stuff too, and outside
More
of just
power to them.
yes, yeah, and there's room for everyone, and that's what I love about this platform. We love about this platform. So, yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy this. I might have some questions for Elon. Elon might have some questions for me. This isn't just me and Elon asking each other questions. It's your questions that we are really interested in. So, hit those up in the live comments there. And I apologize if you're listening on this to this podcast in a podcast form. It's not live. You can't ask your questions, but you can always leave a comment. As I just bumped the mic with my chin, you can always leave a comment, and we will try to get your question next week. But yeah, so
You can, although if you're driving in your car listening to the podcast version, you can ask questions out in the open, just if you need to get it off your chest,
yeah,
whatever.
just I can't. I mean, raise like show of hands. How many people talk to themselves while they're driving alone? How many
Me.
people yell at other drivers when you're driving alone? It happens, you know.
Yeah.
It happens. Um, yeah, I actually went to a fast food place last night, and the lady in front of me went right past the pay line, like the pay window, and just right to the pickup window, and then started yelling at the people in the pickup window that she needed to pay, and like why were they giving her a hard time about it? And this lady had to probably be in her 40s. She knew better.
Wow.
She should have known better.
Yeah.
It's a drive-through. Come on, come on.
Kind of par for the course nowadays. It's been around a while.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Come on. So yeah, as questions go, I think we're just gonna kind of keep it easy here. A couple of
Okay.
people have already started doing it. Just put a Q in front of the question so we can easily see it
Yeah.
in the comments.
Um, Other than that, though, I mean, any updates on your behalf
Yeah, I
after
mean,
your home theater videos, your updates and such?
yeah, I have been toying around with MultiQX. I meant to dive into Magic Beans today, which Joe from Joe and Tell. Everybody knows Joe and Tell. I don't need to say Joe from Joe and Tell. It's in the name. Which Joe and Tell graciously provided a pro version of. I did not get around to it, unfortunately. Outside of that, I shot a video the other night that I hope will come in. Will come in. Well, I will be done editing sometime this week and have it out this weekend. Basically, in the revamp series, if you guys, any of you here, watch that or listening have watched that, I left the PC out front, and some of you kind of said, "Hey, like everything's great, but like I would have done something with that PC," and I did actually. I bought a Silverstone case, so
Wow.
yeah, shoved everything in there, shot a video about that. So I'll be releasing that hopefully. It's it. I I shot way too much and I need to trim it down a lot. So but I think it's interesting. It's not technically a home theater PC. I mean, it is by nature, but I'm not going to be watching movies on it. It's just for playing games. So, yeah, no disk drive or anything like that inside of it. Although I do use external drives to like do ripping and stuff. But yeah, very cool, very cool. So
Well, it is technically a PC in a theater. So,
yes, so technically it is a home theater PC, but I don't think it fits that perfect. Because a lot of people say I've watched videos on it like you didn't even put a disk drive in it. It's like
yeah.
I haven't used an internal disk drive in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Like it's been a while. I've used an external UHD player that I bought off online to do ripping and stuff.
Mm.
But unfortunately, that drive has died, so now I get to buy another one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think the laser died on it or something. Just I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, that's kind of everything that's been going on here. What about you? Anything exciting in your neck of the woods?
Last weekend, well, just a few days ago, I was really hoping because I started on Saturday and continued on Sunday to check, double check, triple check all the various points in the attic, trying to get the Golden Ear in ceiling speakers installed. Because if many of you don't remember, the original Golden Ear speakers I requested were their flagship because obviously I wanted to test out the best that they got. It's like, give me the goods. But they were in fact just too darn big.
Oh,
The diameter is 12 inches, which is massive for an in-ceiling speaker.
whoa, yeah.
So I requested. So, with that being said, I did some calculations and measurements and tried to figure out where all of the stuff, obstacles in the way are in the ceiling or in the attic. And I determined that the step down, the HTR 7000, with a 9-inch diameter hole would actually work.
Okay.
So then I requested 2 of those for up front. Because again, straight down Main Street in the center where the center channel should go is this big aluminum support that I don't want to cut because it's obviously there for a reason, supporting
Yeah.
something in the ceiling.
Yeah.
So I don't want to disrupt the
Cut like a
structural
load.
integrity.
Yeah.
I don't want the house to fall down.
Yeah.
So, center channel is important, yes. So it's kind of a bummer that I can't have a center channel, at least in the ceiling. Technically, I could have a center channel just maybe like right above the TV in the wall, but at the same time, it's not as clean that way. I
Yeah.
really like having those clean lines around the TV because honestly, you're not really going to look up at the ceiling much. So, yeah, 2 HTR 7000s up front and then two 850s in the rear for the surrounds. So it's technically going to be a 4.1 system in my living room. So I got all that set up. I calculated the distances. I made sure nothing was in the way. And then I got the speaker wire in place, ran those underneath between the studs and the drywall. And come to find out, as soon as I snaked them down the wall and then out the hole behind where the cabinet is, where my Marantz Cinema 70S is, turns out I did not have enough excess speaker wire to then hook up the front 2 speakers. I got plenty of like standard BS speaker wire, like those clear coated ones.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be in the ceiling and in the wall. So you got to have at least class 2 or CL2 fire rated speaker wire in that case, because for insurance purposes, and frankly, I don't want to burn down my house on accident because I put basic speaker wire up there.
So basic, bro.
I know, dude. So I ordered some more. It's going to arrive tomorrow. So I may get around to at least snaking the rest of the wire, maybe Thursday or Friday, but definitely by the end of this weekend, I'll have everything up and running, speakers installed, calibrated, etc. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that because it's been so long. You know, like roadblocks like that just really
Oh,
are
dude.
such a bummer. You know,
Oh,
it's like
yeah. Yeah.
I was
And
so close.
it's something that happens with every project. There's
Mhm.
always going to be something that really just goes like, well, like just complete, like all goes to shit pretty much.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the heck? Like, what? And it's always like, it could be something like simple, like you don't have the proper screws or
Right.
whatever, and then you got to go to the hardware store, and then when you go to like Lowe's, they don't have them, so you go over to Home Depot, they don't have them, then you have to travel 45 minutes to the closest one, because you're
Mhm.
like, I don't want to order it on Amazon, so it's always this like something that happens with every project. And I think, you know when I did the whole like home theater conversion, we'll call it, back a couple years ago,
Mhm.
I hit roadblock after roadblock. It was
Yeah.
And so anytime I do things now, it's like I kind of expect there to be issues and just kind of like go, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think at the time my anxiety was like through the roof anyway, just because of everything else going on, like just a
Yeah.
lot. But yeah, I feel you there, man. I feel you. It's always that one like little thing that you're like, if I had this, I would be done,
Mhm. But I don't.
but I don't.
But I
But
mean,
I don't.
the issues are compounded too when you're having to deal with in-wall or in-ceiling speakers where you're cutting into a wall or cutting into
Yes.
drywall. Just it's just amplified. It's just so many things can go wrong, especially because I'm here in California and all the construction codes are just so over the top in California, to be
Mm,
honest. I mean, yeah, it means, our houses are very efficient and, you know, engineered to a way that they're going to be very structurally sound.
right.
So
Right.
that's good.
But yeah.
But when it comes to installing speakers, previously in my previous house, it was built in 2008 and we moved into it in like 2017. And I had no problems. I didn't even go up into the attic first. I was just like, I want a speaker here, 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 here. And I cut holes and boom, it was done. They were there. There were no obstructions. So between 2008 and 2022, when our house was being built, there must have been some other codes written into the California construction code book that made it to where you just had to have a lot more stuff in the way.
Well, yeah. I mean, codes in general change all the. I'm not gonna get like deep dive into this, but I watch a channel on YouTube about their like contractors, builders. So I'm a professional now, because I watch a
Oh, of
YouTube
course.
video.
Right.
That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
But no, they're constantly talking about codes that change in California. I think um, like there's so many things change all the time because it's California. I don't know why I said
Yeah.
it like that, like California. Like, hey,
California.
okay, Devin, what are you doing here? Anyway, yeah, no, I do. I feel you there. Like
Yeah.
people have asked me before why I didn't fill in the that big window in the front there
Mhm.
with like insulation
Oh,
and stuff because that would cut down on all the heat. Um, it's completely against the fire code here. And
yeah.
like, if we were to get some type of inspection, nobody would sign off on that.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, you got a lot of sensitive electronics and stuff in there. I don't really think that like I want to create a fire room. I don't know. Anyway, that's partly why. But yeah, I think we got some questions here. I will just throw
Yeah.
this out
Let's
real
let's
quick.
do it.
This is not required whatsoever, but we do have super chats and super stickers enabled. So if you just want to show your support by throwing up a super chat or super sticker, feel free to do that. Not required, like I said, but much appreciated. It's not going to get your question. I mean, we'll highlight it right away, but it's not required to get your question answered. Basically, it's just an easy way for you to show your support for us. But you're just showing your support by being here. So thank you guys so much for being
Yay.
here. I've started a lot. I did want to highlight Oprah Winfrey saying, "Brad, I have the same shirt," which is people. This is the Pearl Listen logo. I don't have
Ooh.
Pearl Listen speakers, so they gave me this when I went to Cedia in 2022. Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
dude, you know what? I'll wear a free shirt. I don't
Oh yeah.
like someone gives me a free shirt to a brand I'll never own. I got a Kaleidoscape hat. Probably never gonna have a Kaleidoscape. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I have a THX hat from when I went to CES in 2023.
Oh,
But man, it's
what does
like
that even?
it's like so flimsy and floppy. I'm like, I'm
Oh,
never gonna wear
yeah.
this. My hats
Uh,
have to be like rigid or have some rigidity to it.
yeah, yeah. I don't wear hats most of the time unless I'm outside. So
Yeah.
that's the only time. The only time. All right, so let's start at the top here. Are you
Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum.
ready? Bam. Mike Ortiz costs. You each get half the cost of your current theater to then use to upgrade your theater. What would you upgrade? Oh,
You each get half the cost of your current
right.
theater.
So let's say you're like, let's say in my example, my theater costs. I haven't put a number on it in a long time, but I would probably say 15 to 20.
Hmm.
So
Same
let's
here.
just
Like same here. Probably hovering around 18 to 20.
yeah. So let's just say 20. You got 20K,
Yeah.
right? So half of that, you have $10,000. What would you use that 10 grand to upgrade? I think I know mine would be speakers.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I don't have, I mean, my speakers are entry level, literally. Like when I bought them, they were entry level. They're still entry level. They're super cheap. I think the center channel costs $90. I mean, come on. Like,
Yeah.
we got speakers out. I'm wearing a shirt where their speakers cost like, you know,
Like 5 grand.
$5,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So speakers, I don't know what I go with though. I haven't gotten to that point where I'm even considering it because like that would require me to do research. And right now, I don't need to get any more ideas on like what I, can't spend money on. Yeah,
Right.
mine would probably be speakers, but I would be looking. I would maximize that $10,000 and get the best spot possible, the best bang for buck speakers I can, not
Mhm.
the most expensive speakers. Like which
Yeah.
typically are not. They're not going to give you the best like price to performance ratio. So yeah. But what about you?
Well, and yet, this is a testament to all you listening and watching this stream right now. Brad has entry level speakers, and yet it sounds great because he takes the time to calibrate manually. If there was like a star graphic and like smile,
Ding!
yeah,
Just don't give a thumbs
I would
up
do
because
that.
we know what
Right.
happens. Or what was it? What I did do last week where it like was the
Oh yeah, it was the
fireworks behind me.
fireworks.
What the
I think
hell,
you I think you just I think you did a double thumbs up or something.
dude?
Not when you want it.
EV Mux is broken,
Yeah.
broken. Okay.
Yeah. Gosh, I would definitely get a better preamp, um, because I would love to max out the amount of speakers that are set up in my theater currently.
Mm.
I can support up to technically I can support up to a 10. Well, how does that figure? I can do 9 ear level speakers, 6 heights, and a center height. So, well, 7 heights altogether. So if I got some sort of preamp, probably the Marantz AV10 or the Anthem AVM 90, because both of those I think are 15.4 preamps. So that way I could have RO3D, IMAX Enhanced, DTSX Pro, and obviously Dolby Atmos.
Yeah.
So yeah, that the Marantz is $7,000. I think the Anthem is 5,500 or something, $6,000 maybe. So beyond that, I would probably get maybe some outboard DSP gear.
Yeah.
Maybe like an 8-channel or 16-channel mini DSP outboard stuff, so that I can dial in all of my speakers and not just subwoofers. But yeah, I think that's definitely what I would do, because I already have acoustic treatment. I mean, my acoustic treatment could probably use an upgrade at some point.
Yeah.
Since I did it myself, maybe instead of panels behind me, like absorptive panels behind me,
Yeah.
maybe I would get a diffuser instead, because usually those tend to do better at the very back of your room as opposed
Yeah.
to absorbing. They just scatter the sound. Yeah, so that's probably what I get, because yeah, I'd love to max out what I can actually do in the room.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Joel actually says there must be some speakers that you have caught your eye though, Brad. Wait, I put my name at the end of that, but yeah. So there's been some stuff from Paradigm, some stuff, even like the like like for 10K if I wanted to upgrade all the speakers. I actually really think Aperion Audio doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah.
Not only have they been great to me to work with, they're pretty affordable as far as speakers go. And the performance seems like really up there, but they're like an internet only company. Like you're not going to find their speakers, in a store or anything like that.
Right.
They're based out of Oregon. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely demo a bunch of different ones, but yeah, I think off the top of my head, if we're looking at like 10 grand and I wanted to put a whole system together, one, I already have Aperion Audio height channels, so
Right.
I wouldn't need to really do anything with those because they would be timbre matched. Yeah, I maybe would look at those, but yeah, Paradigm, the monolith, I can't even talk right now. Monolith by Monoprice stuff, I would definitely check out. And then I'm a fan of SVS. I've always enjoyed their products. I'd probably check out their stuff. They are going to be sending me an Ultra Evolution system at some point.
Nice.
So one of their new, just to check out, like not to keep, but to review.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious to see that. Yeah, what's funny is like you were saying what you would buy. I was looking up like per listen speakers. I was like, oh, I found one for $1,500. No, that's a stand. That's a per listen stand for $1,500. So that's not going to happen. Suddenly, I don't want to wear this shirt anymore. No, I'm kidding. I have heard per listen speakers in person. Per listen in person, and they sound amazing. But holy shit, they are expensive.
Yeah.
They are really pricey. I love good sound. I don't know if I consider myself an audiophile like some people would, but yeah, really sound nice, really hard on the wallet.
Yeah.
Really hard on the wallet. So perfect. All right, next question. Mike, again, we're just going down the list, guys. So this whatever order these came in. So he asked, when calibrating, do you use frequency sweeps or pink noise in an RTA? I've actually If I'm doing EQ, I'm going to do frequency sweeps.
Sorry, for those unfamiliar, just in case, please define RTA.
It is a real time analyzer. So basically, you play the pink noise from, like, let's say REW. You can REW has a built-in RTA that you can use with the like the UMIC 1 or UMIC 2. And yeah, you'll see in real time kind of if it's full bandwidth pink noise, the entire frequency spectrum. And you could change some settings to make it look more or less like you had just done a frequency sweep. But it does update in real time, and you can control how fast it updates, and how long you let it like why can't I think of words right now? I don't know. You know what I'm talking. Do you know what I'm talking about though? Like
Yeah.
basically, yeah. Like it doesn't start. It'll start working immediately, but it will take a moment to kind of give you the result because it's averaging like multiple measurements. It's kind of actually
'Cause-
how Magic Beans works.
yeah.
So like you play full bandwidth pink noise from a speaker, and you do like a near field measurement and then a like positional measurement where you sit, and it's literally taking like 60 measurements in like 10 seconds. So
Right.
it's just reading that it's taking basically a snapshot at one given time. So yeah, but basically, so to answer that question though, I use frequency sweeps for kind of general like EQ, and then I will use pink noise sometimes to verify frequency sweeps. Although the frequency sweeps are so quick that it's just easier to do it that way.
Yeah.
I will use pink noise for setting crossovers and adjusting subwoofer phase. If I'm kind of having an issue where the speakers and subs are not blending properly, and I think I have everything dialed in, I might look at the impulse graph and say, well, what happens if I do this? And you can do that in real time and not have to keep redoing measurements.
Right.
And so that's really helpful. I think that for like my tutorials and stuff, I try to not use it because I think REW for a lot of people can already be super confusing as it is. So then, like, I don't feel like I feel comfortable using an RTA at this point right now. I don't feel comfortable trying to teach someone how to use an RTA. So, like, I stick to like what I know, and I feel like what is easiest to wrap your head around. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Because like when we discussed before, how even sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes moving a subwoofer an inch can make a difference.
Yeah.
If you're using pink noise in an RTA, if you can move it and you should be able to see, like if you have a big null or something that your frequency sweep showed, you can turn on pink noise in an RTA,
And
and
should be
then
able to.
live, you should be able to move your subwoofer and go, oh, that null just disappeared. It should just
Yeah.
show you in real time. So
Yep. And so the same thing will happen when you're adjusting the crossover. So like, you have your crossover set at, let's say, 60 hertz. You got this null at around 60 to 70 hertz. You bump it up to 80, suddenly that null goes away. Or it decreases, and maybe you bump it up to 90, you go 10 more degrees or 10 more hertz, and now it's completely like where like there's no null, or there's like just a little bit. None of this stuff, we can never get any of this stuff perfect. That's like, it's always like a compromise. Our room is like the biggest factor with that too. It's like you can't expect perfection with this stuff. You can get close to it, but like you also don't want to overcorrect. So
yeah.
it's
So
kind of like
I think both have their
both.
strengths
Yeah.
and weaknesses.
Yep. Yep. I think a RTA is a great, useful tool. It's used in the professional audio realm as well, like for mixing and mastering and live performance and all that stuff. And it could be simple. It could be complex. I remember buying, like, you can buy an RTA app for your phone, which I thought was super cool.
Oh, really?
But like, it just uses the mic on your phone. So it's like, how accurate is this going to be?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think both have their place for sure. Let's see. Moving on down. Dennis asks, in an Audioholic stream, they interviewed someone who works on the audio mastering for Dolby and DTS on different Blu-rays, and they clarified that 5.1 audio is mastered so that surrounds are, and it's down here. I thought he was just going to post that, and then like we're like, what? Surrounds are
Are
3 dB lower than the front mains. Theoretically, would you apply that logic to DTS X Master discs, or would you stick to 75 dB for all speakers like it's done with Atmos? I mean, oh man, this is a. I'm I'm the latter. Like I would just stick to 75 dB. There's already too many variables with everything. you know, I like. So I have a bunch of videos on like tutorials and how to like set everything up, and some people I think maybe think that I change stuff on a per movie basis, and that is completely like not me.
yeah.
Like once I have everything calibrated, I don't have different profiles for this type of movie or that type of movie. I have two
Right.
profiles, one with bass that's 5 dB hotter than like where I normally calibrate to. I typically don't run with like that much boosted bass these days. But yeah, I think you could technically, if your receiver has like the ability to have multiple profiles, like some do. Some of the newer Denon and Marantz receivers will allow you to have profile 1, profile 2, so you can test it out for yourself and see how you think it sounds. To me, I already find that sometimes surrounds, even on Dolby Atmos stuff, is too hot.
Mhm.
So like if you're boosting, so like going by this, I think what he's asking is they mix it 3 dB lower than the front mains. So do you drop the surrounds down 3 dB lower than everything else, right? Am I understanding that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Initially, I thought he was like, do you boost the surrounds by 3 dB? No, he's like asking, do we bring the surrounds down by 3 dB? I don't like, unless your surrounds are really, really calling attention to themselves, I don't think the need is there.
I think it depends on also how far away you're sitting from your main soundstage. So
Yes.
if it's a long distance, then I would probably try and keep everything. Well, no. Yeah, I don't know. Because yeah, maybe the surrounds would be a little bit too hot if your front soundstage is pretty far away. But maybe that just makes a difference if they're closer.
Yeah.
But yeah, me typically, I just keep everything at the same level
Yeah.
because I want to feel immersed. And there really hasn't been many. I honestly can't, off the top of my head, think of any movie or TV show that I was watching where, like, I was taken out of the moment because the surrounds were too hot.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's just me. Maybe I just like the effect of having everything the same level.
Yeah. There's only one movie in recent memory that I can say for a fact that the Atmos mix is too ridiculously busy. Twister.
Yeah.
The German import of Twister. It's so much going on all the time. All the time. Like even when it's just like a dialogue scene, you're like, not even, there's no tornadoes or anything. They're not even in the car. They're in a diner, and it's like, why are plates being shuffled above my head? Is this a 2-story diner? Like there's just some odd choices there. But
I think the insects that were part of the making of the movie had a say in how loud
yeah,
they were going to be in the mix.
I wonder if Jan de Bont had any like kind of say on like what happened. I do know that they're doing I think in July the 4K version of that movie is coming out in the US. Like we're finally getting a remaster of it, which I'm excited about. So
Ba-dum-bum.
but yeah, Symphonics Audio says all depends on the mixing engineer. The tracks are fixed with their values, and if you calibrate the AVR Pro, excuse me, will only change their intended mix. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of changing stuff on a per movie or per track basis. I know people that do that, and it's one thing to kind of have to boost the center channel up like a dB or two to
Sure.
hear dialogue. I think that's or you turn on dialogue enhancer or whatever, because a lot of movies just have dialogue that's mixed so low these days to kind of give the track a more dynamic feel. I don't know why I did this. This is not air quotes. That's not how you do it. When people do this, I don't know what this means.
Yeah.
But
I guess another reason to use presets is if you have one set for music and one set for movies. That would be my personal
yeah,
reason
very
for
true. Very
having
true.
different presets.
Yeah, because I do like a little more bass with my music.
Yeah.
I like to feel the kick. But yeah, for movies, I don't know if I'm like I haven't bottomed out a subwoofer in a really long time. But like if it just overpowers the entire mix and I'm losing detail, it's time to lower the sub volume.
Yeah. It's time.
It's time.
It's
Let's see. Hey, we got a couple more people.
time.
Mosin is here. Hello. Kevin is here. Welcome, Kevin. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Hello,
Thank you
Kevin.
for joining us. Trying to star these as we go along. Let's go back.
Yeah, I've been starring these too.
I wonder if one of us stars them and the other
I
one.
know. If I star it, do you see it?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure because I'm pretty sure I saw comments starred that
Okay.
I didn't star.
Because I was thinking maybe one of us has the starred comments brought up, and the other one is actively starring the comments. That way, because I keep going back. You know how you can show all we're behind the scenes stuff here, guys. Very exciting.
Riveting.
Riveting. We could see all the comments, or we could just see the ones that we've starred, and that's what I'm trying to. I go back and forth, but anyway, what we're doing is fine. It's fine. I need to hide that one. We just got that one. All right. Moving down to the next question. Here it is. As I unstar it accidentally, there we go. Medieval 1980. It's a good year. Just curious on your personal recommendations for 6 Atmos height speakers when it comes to exact placement in relation to your main listening position. I am running them with a Marantz 8015. Thank you. So so height channel placement in particular is kind of a topic of much debate. We'll say there are multiple recommendations depending on who you listen to. I am good friends with Stephen Smith, Home Theater Gurus. I originally had my Atmos speakers back in the day when I upgraded to Atmos to just top middles. I had a receiver that could only support 2. And like a lot of people have done, is they follow the Dolby guide. And if you look at the Dolby guide, it says put them in line with your main front, left, and right. Back
and put them above the main.
Yeah, yeah,
like
and
45 degrees or something.
Yeah, they're like put it slightly in front of your listening position, but this is just for 2 speakers. And I did that, and I was like, oh, okay, like it sounds okay, but like I just was never wowed by it. And then when I moved in here, I again set them up like that using in-ceiling speakers, and then Steven released a video, and I was like, okay. I mean, I had heard other things from other channels, like Techno Dad and Joe and Tell, and I think Audioholics may have done something. It was all kind of like almost like competing information in a way, like one person saying, no, this is right, the other person saying this is right. And so I was like, at the time I like Steven and I had like hung out. I knew Steven really well, and I was like, hey man, like I want your opinion, because he designs theaters as well. And I was like, could I just like pick your brain on this? And he recommended I swap, like basically move the angles on them. And I did. Thankfully I have a drop ceiling, so it was easy.
Yeah.
And it like basically opened up the Atmos height effects to the point where I was hearing things that I didn't know were coming from the ceiling before, because they were too far out close to the side walls, and they were kind of smearing with the surround channels a little too much, and even the front channels. Like when I upgraded to 4, thankfully by that time I had not had them placed improperly. I placed everything where they should be, or according to him. And all I can say is, just from my personal experience, and I'm no professional at this, I'm just an enthusiast. Going off of Stephen Smith's recommendations, I got incredible like height, like channel effects that I didn't know it could sound like that. Now 6 is a little more complicated. Like, one, you want to make sure that like you can actually, like, putting 6 in your room will provide you benefit, because in some instances, if the room is too small and you don't have enough separation between them, it can actually make things worse.
Yeah.
But he does, I think Steven actually does have a PDF that he provided in one of his videos, and I can't remember what it is. I'll try to look it up after the stream and put it in the comments, like pin it. But yeah, I would recommend checking that out, because I don't remember off the top of my head what it is. In relation to your main listening position, it all goes by angles.
Mm-hmm.
So like basically you need kind of like a side view of your listening position, and then you can figure out the size of your room, and then just use like an angle, like a protractor or something, and like literally say, okay, if I need to mount them back here and I need to put this one here. So like once you know that, it's like kind of like relatively easy to just, okay, I need to cut the hole here, or I need to place the speaker here, if you're not doing in ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that would be my recommendation. But yeah, my personal recommendation would be Stephen Smith's. I'm not a fan of having speakers on the side walls, kind of up like in the corners. I know you can't see, I'm doing this and I realize no one can see me. So in the upper corners of the room, I'm not a huge fan of that. But it can work. I've only tried that with the elevation speakers from SVS, and I wasn't all that impressed with the imaging. But this was a long time ago in a different house, so keep that in mind.
Right.
My memory of that is like years ago, first of all, and it's like it's not in the same room. So if I did it now, I would probably notice more, because I have like a treated room and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. What about you? Do you have like a personal recommendation, Elon, for
I mean, say what you want, but I still subscribe to RO3D's idea behind it all, because technically they were the first immersive audio format out there. And it's all based on psychoacoustics. And their whole idea is that you want to have your height speakers mounted or installed 30 degrees up from where your head is when you're sitting down in your main listening position. So 30 degrees up, although they don't really recommend, or they don't have that many recommendations as far as like how narrow or wide you put it. But in all of their diagrams, they do show that the heights are in line with your front, left, and right speakers, and in line with your surround as well. So, you know, that's definitely something you'd have to experiment with, see if you get better imaging doing one or the other, if you have them inside your front, left, and right speakers or in line with them.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe your particular room, it just sounds better that way when you have them more narrow than your front speakers. But regardless, 30 degrees up for your fronts, 30 degrees back for your rear heights, and just straight up with your middle heights.
Yeah.
Because, RO3D is known for their voice of God, just a single speaker right above you. But since if you have 6 heights, then you just have those 2 right above, either high up on the wall or mounted to the ceiling, whatever, shooting straight down at you.
Yeah,
So that would be
exactly.
my 2 cents.
Hey, I will say, I will add, if you can get or make sure that you have speakers with both, like most like in ceiling speakers have aimable tweeters, but if you
Right.
have ones that have angled woofers, that can also impact the sound from your height channels, because you
Oh,
want to
for sure.
aim, yeah, you want to aim those. I think a common thing is like, we aim them at the opposite headrest, so like from the like, so if it's like the front, like the top front right, we're aiming it at the, like if you have 3 seats, we're
Mhm.
aiming it at like the left head, like the left headrest if we were sitting in the center
So it
position.
crosses the
Right, and
couch.
then we do
Yeah.
the opposite on the front top left, and that way you get that kind of like, not crosstalk is the wrong word, but yeah, you get that kind of X, like, yeah, and so that's what I've done. Even though I have a small room, it can help pretty greatly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it is, Joel. The drama is real in Atmos placement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
I don't partake in the drama, so I just state what I do for me, and so I could say, "Hey, try it out." I'm no expert,
Yeah.
you
But I mean,
know.
you do hit on a good point though. Like even if you have 6 height channels, the 2 in the front and the 2 in the back, they shouldn't be the type of, especially if they're in ceiling speakers where you're installing them in a ceiling.
Yeah,
I do not recommend getting in ceiling speakers that are just going to shoot audio
straight
straight
down.
down.
Yep.
I would get the kind that are built in at an angle. So when you install them in your ceiling, they're already pointing at a 30-degree angle.
Yeah.
That's actually what the Golden Ear HTR
Hmm.
7000s are doing that I'm installing in the front of my living room. They're already angled at a 30-degree angle, so they're going to be automatically pointing towards my couch. The surrounds are pretty much going to be in line with my listening position. They're just going to be a little bit behind,
Hmm.
but those shoot straight down. But the tweeters are also aimable. So I'm
Yeah.
hopeful that I can get some really good imaging with those 4 speakers.
Yeah. And for those that maybe already have in ceiling speakers that literally fire straight down with the woofers, and you're wondering, is it even worth upgrading those speakers? Just do, like, if you have an SPL meter or you have REW, put the mic like literally, 3 feet underneath it,
Yeah.
right? Directly underneath it, just point it straight up. Do it like, just take an SPL reading, like some pink noise, and then move it 2 feet to the side and watch how much that output drops off just from literally moving 2 feet over.
Yeah.
And then go to your main listening position and realize, holy crap, I'm measuring 75 dB here and like 68 dB at the listening position. So it drops off tremendously. Like it,
Mhm.
if it's not angled, like it's also a lot of that like directional bass, you
Yeah.
know, that are mid. It's probably more like mid bass, because I think a lot of ceiling speakers have smaller woofers,
Yeah.
unless you're like crazy, like Elon over here with 12-inch, like golden. It's crazy, but wow, um, that was awful, Christopher Walken, awful. Jesus. Okay. So Joel says, not a question, a statement. Says, really curious to get your take on Magic Beans. Doesn't look like Gene or Steve think highly of it. I don't.
Oh, no, no. Correction. They don't think highly of Joe and Tell.
Oh.
That's the issue.
Oh man.
Because they've ever since. I mean, take my word as it is, but I mean, I don't want to start any feuds or anything. Don't go commenting on their channels, whatever. But I'll just say that ever since Joe and Tell and TechnoDad's spatial audio calibration toolkit came out, Gene has not had very nice things to say about it. So
I mean, like I said earlier, I don't partake in the YouTube drama.
Yeah, I mean, that's really
So
all I know. Even Technodad himself, who I'm really good friends with,
yeah,
hasn't really gone into much detail. He's just like, I'll let, I'll just say that Gene didn't really like what we put out
yeah.
because for whatever
I mean, what?
reason, he doesn't know.
Yeah, and what I'll say to that is, I am friends with Joe. I am friends with Chana. I am friends with Gene. All of these guys. I work with Gene a lot. Probably not
Yeah.
anymore now. Thanks, Elon. No, I'm kidding. No, no. Like, I work with Gene a lot, and I think, I don't know. In my experience with Gene has been awesome. Like, he's a super nice dude. Really surprised, like, me the first time we met, how I mean, he was so easy, so easy to work with and to shoot for, like, in
Yeah.
terms of like a video shooter. Like, I've edited a few of the videos too, and like, it's just, yeah. I mean, he's like straightforward, knows what he wants, and I like that because like there's no like kind of guesswork there. But yeah, I mean, I'm friends with all those dudes. I don't have beef with anyone, so I'm just kind of like, I always feel like I'm the guy that's like off of to the sideline, just going like, what's happening? Like, where are we? Like,
Cool.
this is home theater YouTube, right? Um,
Is this the home theater equivalent of Kendrick Lamar and Drake right now with
I don't know who
their
those people
beef?
are, but I don't like them. No, I'm just kidding. No, is there a beef,
Oh yeah, yeah.
dude?
They've traded diss tracks back and forth the past couple weeks.
Oh my goodness, who
Yeah,
cares?
I
Who
know,
cares?
really.
I
Because
don't.
my Instagram feed is just full of that stuff. Because obviously it's clickbaity and
Yeah,
it gets the clicks, it gets the eyes on it, those kinds of articles. So whatever. It probably just means that something terrible is happening in our government that they're trying to mask over. So they're like, hey, here's some beef between two rappers. Whatever.
yeah. Like rappers, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see here. Clean slate asks, what's the best way to watch movies ripped to a hard drive without setting up a NAS? Um,
Don't like things like the Zapedi and Arvolution media players. Don't they have some sort of ripping feature like built in, or do you have to, or are they just for storage?
well, I think that he's asking if he's already ripped the movies to a drive, like a NAS. What's the best way to play
Yeah,
that back?
yeah,
Or no, I'm sorry. If he's ripped it to a drive and not a
right.
NAS, so like he just has, like, let's say, I'll give you an example. I have a 6 terabyte external drive, like spinning hard drive, that I have a bunch of my movies on,
Mhm.
and I will say, plugged in directly to the NVIDIA Shield, it is a god awful bullshit experience that I wouldn't recommend. I The best way to use the NVIDIA Shield is to run a NAS somewhere else and don't use the USB ports on the Shield.
Mm,
You're just going to have a bad time.
wow.
To me, they're, even when you're using a fast SSD, I also have that,
Mhm.
unusable. You're better off getting spinning drives attached to the network and just streaming off of that through the Shield. Something to do with the limitations of like RAM on the Shield. I mean, I've
Oh,
kind of crapped on that device in past streams because
yeah.
it's not a box I would recommend anymore unless you're going to set up a NAS. But yeah, something, if you have the money, like a Zapedi,
Mhm.
or I don't know exactly how those work. So
Yeah, I mean,
like Arvolution, can you plug up an external drive that already has movies on it? Do you need internal storage there? That is something I don't know.
I believe so. But Arvolution also does have their own NAS drives too.
Okay, but is it like required to use
No,
the NAS?
no, no, no. They've got their standalone media players, and
Yeah.
then they also have a NAS, like a bay with like 4 different drives you could put in or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe Plex. Like Plex is like the interface. I mean, I do like Plex. I mean, there are other things like what was the other one? Like MB. Another one. These are all like interfaces. Plex is probably the most popular one if you're using like a Shield or
Yeah, true.
your Xbox or PlayStation or PC or whatever. Although if you're using a PC, I mean that would probably be the best way if you just plug your PC. You don't have to do any. But no, yeah, I think probably yeah. I mean if you're running off of an external drive, definitely. Like there are some Blu-ray players that will read like MKV files.
Yeah.
I know like the Oppo, the now defunct Oppo, the Magnetar might.
Mhm.
But I mean, we're talking about a device that's not exactly the cheapest on the market.
Right.
So I would say
Although, do you have much experience with a Plex server?
that's what I use for
Oh, you do.
yeah. And so
'Cause it
here's
seems,
something. Go ahead.
in my experience, it seems like Plex works very well when it's on your local network. Because my brother-in-law, who lives in San Francisco, he's a software engineer, so he's all about Plex and getting movies that way, etc. And he created an account for us to be able to access his Plex library from where we are. And man, there are so many times where we're like, we want to watch something, it's not on your typical streaming platform. So we're like, all right, well, let's see if it's on the Plex. And so many times we've gone to start something and it just doesn't start, or there's issues, it stops and starts and stops
Yeah.
and starts. The quality is really bad. So as far as like using a Plex server that's miles and miles and miles away and you're
Yeah.
accessing it over the internet, I don't know. I haven't had any good experience with that. I don't know if you have.
I mean, Plex is. So I'll give you a like. I'll give you a couple that I was gonna say real quick. So like I have the drives plugged directly into the Shield. I don't really have any other way to do it right now. I don't have a NAS or anything like that set up. So I have a 6 terabyte spinning drive and then a 500 gigabyte SSD, just a 2.5 inch. I think it caps out at like 500 megabytes. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So like the transfer rate is higher, blah blah blah. So playing anything directly off of either drive, I typically before we even start like a standard, like let's say my wife and I are watching Stargate SG-1 right now. It's just Blu-ray, like the Blu-ray rips that I made, 1080p, nothing crazy. I mean, they're not been re-encoded or anything like that, so they're just like remuxes.
Yeah.
I have to restart the Shield every time we go to watch them because they'll just start and then they'll start pausing. And it seems like there was a comment here from Croson that like the new firmware does suck, and I think that over the years the software on the Shield has just gotten worse and worse to the point where like it's almost too bloated now with crap going on in the background or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not a fan of what they like. I just want something like clean, simple, quick. That's it. And it's none of those things anymore, unfortunately. But we always have issues. However, if we are, let's say, in the living room and I'm using the TV app to stream said Stargate episode over our network from that drive connected to the Shield, it plays absolutely perfectly every time. I could play 4K UHD movies with the 0 issues, no buffering, no dropped like frames, no weird pauses, no like stuttering, flawlessly on another device. As long as it only happens when I'm not using the Shield as the main player,
Right.
which is so weird to me. And now, obviously, if I'm watching in the living room, I'm not getting like uncompressed audio because I'm going through the TV and that's going to like the sound bar that we have plugged up in the living room. Because we have cats, speakers are not not feasible in the living room right now because they actually knocked one over a few months ago, which
Oh no.
I just grabbed the old sound bar that we had and I was like, this is fine. But we don't really watch a lot of stuff out there anyway. So it's just more like, okay, we want something better than the TV speakers, but it doesn't need to be like great quality. Yeah. So it's just strange that like it will work fine on like every other device in the room, but as soon as a Shield, like I turn on the Shield, it's a no-go, man. It's a no-go.
Man, that's disappointing.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like reading some of these over here. Is this Paul? Paul, is this you? This looks like Paul. Sorry. If it's not Paul, I apologize, but I think it's Paul. Could be wrong. If you guys don't know, Paul is he's on he's been on the podcast with Ike and Don over on the home theater. Yes, it is Paul. Okay. How you doing, Paul? Welcome, buddy. I thought I recognized I was like, this guy being a jerk in the comment. I'm kidding. You're not being a jerk at all. Thanks for stopping. Thanks for dropping the knowledge, Paul. Can you guys tell I've edited quite a few of Audioholics videos? Just thanks for dropping the knowledge.
Right.
But yeah, so hopefully that kind of answers the question. It is really hard to obviously some questions just are just hard to pin. It's like kind of a loaded thing, right? There's so many avenues to get to the end result that you could take. And the thing is with all of this stuff, and Paul could even chime in too, something works for you, and this has all happened with us, right? We'll set up something for ourselves and it works perfectly. You recommend it to a friend, you go over and help them set it up. Doesn't work. Right. Doesn't work the way it works for you. And you're like, I don't know what's happening. Literally no other variables other than like, it's just in a different house, you know?
Right.
And it can get especially complicated when you're dealing with like networking stuff over a network. If you're trying to access things outside the network, you're dealing with a lot more complications there. But if you're just trying to play something locally, your best bet is, on the cheaper side, it is the NVIDIA Shield. The experience, overall user experience might not be that great. From my experience, at least, it hasn't been that great. But or you could look into the kind of higher end stuff like the Zedo and things like that.
Fun fact, that's why Brad doesn't go to friends' houses anymore, because he used to have hair before he started helping his friends.
Dude, stop like helping my family. Are you kidding me? Like had hair and then they were like, one day my mom just like, how do you set the time on the VCR? Hair fell out all at once. It was just like on the floor. I was 15 and it happened. This is real, guys. I did have hair at one time. It was weird. We'll say that. Anyway, let's see. Alex the Great, welcome. Brad, curious how you feel about the PB3000 versus 4000 for your room size. Worth it or overkill? Totally overkill. Worth it? Yes. Both. So, for a while, I'm still working. This is awful. So I'm still working on the 4000 review. That is coming. I've had them for a while. I've run them by themselves for a long time, and everything sounded great. What really sounded great is when I put the PB3000s in the back of the room and had all four running. Now, let me say this: they are not hot. I'm not running them hot unless I'm listening to music. They follow my curve very nice. I keep doing this when I go curve. It's just like literally like it starts, up here. It goes from like 77 dB at like I don't know, 15 hertz, and then
Yeah.
slopes down at 20K, probably around, I don't know, 70 dB. So over the course of like 10 hertz to 20,000 hertz, it slopes down 7 dB.
Yeah.
So not a bad, not I prefer that. So it follows that line really, really well. Not I mean it's the bass is higher than the highs, but that's kind of like the preferred curve for me.
Oh yeah.
The headroom I have is insane. I never have to worry about anything bottoming out. The subs are
Yeah, dude.
all like like nothing is being boosted.
Mhm.
Everything, like we're talking about all cuts for EQ. But that was even the case pretty much with the 4000s together. The main reason I really like having all four is it smooths out the response over the two seats that I have. Because
Yeah.
with just two, even though it's only two seats, there's some nulls in those seats that can only be like mitigated by adding one or two more subs.
Yeah.
It's really about the smoothness. I'm not hitting those amps hard at all. I'm even running them in sealed mode just for the heck of it. And yeah, it all sounds great. Like I'm getting extension down to, I think in the room total 12 hertz, something
Ooh.
like that. So it hits hard. It hits
Yeah.
hard. And then for music, I think I have a 5 dB boost on
Mhm.
there. So for like concert stuff, just to kind of get a little more kick out of the kick drum and
Yeah, true.
things. But I think, yes, they're overkill for my room for sure. I do want to check out the 16 Ultras, would be positively overkill.
Yeah.
I know Jeff from JTR has reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested. I'm like, dude, I don't think I could fit them through the door. Like even with the hinges off, I'd have to take the frame off. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go to that extent. But with like JTR, I'd probably just need like one of their dual subs and call it a day.
Yeah. Doesn't Youthman have JTR?
He's got the RS8. I
Yeah.
can't remember the model number. Man.
Those are both behind his screen, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. I've actually never heard them, believe it or not. I haven't been over to his house for a demo in a long time. A
Yeah.
long time.
Long
time. Let's see. So hopefully that answers your question. I still think the 4000s are great, but the 3000s are no slouch either. You're just going to get more headroom with the 4000s. Like if you really like to crank your bass, even in a small room, and you're finding that the 3000s just, they won't struggle, but they just might start to run out of a bit of power if you really like to run them hot. The 4000s would be good. You're going to get around the same frequency response though out of both of them. So
I
no
mean,
worries.
you hit on a good point though, that I mean, yeah, it's like technically overkill, but at the same time, it's really disappointing to invest in a subwoofer or multiple subwoofers thinking that you're going to be that the bass response is going to be untouchable and nothing is going to overpower them, but then some movie comes along and you start to hear chuffing out of the ports and it's like, oh man, that sucks. I mean, then
Yeah.
you're going to have to, maybe rethink how you dialed them in and maybe make some adjustments, etc. But, cabinet resonance is another thing. And yeah, once you get the PB 3000s and 4000s, those cabinets are just obviously made to withstand incredible amounts of energy, real thick cabinets that are just so rigid. So yeah, I mean, there's a reason to have quote unquote overkill subwoofers even in a small room. Because me personally, I never want to run into something that, makes me realize, oh no, this particular movie is too much for my subwoofers. 'Cause that's always
Yeah. Yeah. And I have not had that happen in a long, long time.
yeah.
and it feels
Exactly.
and again, when it's one of those things when you tell people that maybe aren't necessarily into the hobby that you have 4 subs in your room and it's a small room or just 4 subs in general.
Mhm.
People hear 4 subs, and if they're not like when I say hear, when you tell them you have 4 subs,
Right.
a lot of people might go, I heard that like shitty sounding car go down the road when all you could hear is bass coming from it, or
Right.
they might have heard someone with multiple subs, or might have heard a system with multiple subs in someone's house that was not set up properly. And it's like you can't really explain it to them. It's like you kind of have to listen to it. And I think
Mhm.
for me it would be like, yeah, there's 4 subs in here, but it's not overpowering everything else.
Right.
And that's the whole point. It's like I have headroom to really crank it when I want to, but those subs are not going to bottom out with what I'm feeding it. And I think that is the consistency over the seating area, and the headroom is like the biggest biggest benefits that you can have from multiple subs, really.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but yeah, I remember talking. I was over at my we were having like a family gathering one holiday, and my wife had mentioned to her sister that we have 4 subs in the theater room. She's like, 4? Oh my God. It must blow you out of the room. And my wife's like, no, actually, like it's just very smooth. Like
Yeah. It's well calibrated. Huh.
it's like I somewhat know what I'm doing. Somewhat.
Thanks
Let's
to
see.
Mini
Mini DSP and also many sleepless nights running REW measurements and just
Right.
messing around with stuff. So Alex the Great has another question. Elon, what are your top 3 Oro 3D movies or best ones you hear about? Love the show, guys. Thanks. Well, thank you for tuning in. And Elon, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Um, to be determined, Alex. Sorry. The only native RO3D 4K Blu-ray, or no, Blu-ray that I own is something that Brad already mentioned. It's the Twister, the German version of Twister, because it comes with an Atmos disc and an RO3D disc. But I have yet to actually A/B those two, which will happen soon because next week on the 15th is when IMAX Enhanced Audio drops on Disney Plus. And the only RO3D supported AVR that I own right now is the Marantz SR7015. So as of like literally tomorrow, I have it on my schedule. I am going to be taking out my IOTA AVX17 preamp, and I'm going to be putting in the SR7015 so that I can hopefully get IMAX Enhanced Audio on Disney Plus.
Mm.
But then after that test, I will be finally getting around to testing native RO3D versus Atmos with that Twister disc. But other than that, I've heard like the Spider-Man, like the latest Spider-Man, No Way Home. I heard that's a really good native RO3D mix. But again, it's something you have to import from Europe because native RO3D mixes just aren't
Yeah.
in the US. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
where you are, Alex, but yeah, that's what
Can
I've
we
heard.
can we
Or
talk about
just Sony in general, I think. I think Sony and RO have maybe some sort of
yeah.
partnership because I think it seems like a lot of Sony titles also have native R3D options in Europe.
True. Can we talk about are we under NDA? Can we not talk about the special conversation we're gonna have next week with oh my God, what's his name from Oro?
Oh, um, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah.
basically, Elon set up this. Elon set up this thing with a. God, I'm looking at the email now. Is it Jason?
He's the
Oh,
U.S. representative.
Right.
But honestly, I can't remember off the top of my head now who the actual like head honcho guy we're going to be talking to
Bert.
from RO3D.
Bert.
Yes, him.
Yeah. So this is going to be basically like a pre-recorded conversation. It won't be live, but we are going to be talking to. I don't know Bert's job title.
Yeah, me neither.
But we are going to basically. He's the CTO.
There we go. Nice.
CTO of Oro. So yeah, we're gonna be talking to him in a pre-recorded conversation that we'll be uploading to our channel. So,
well, honestly, because that's just so you're aware, next week that will technically be our live stream. We're going to replace it with this pre-recorded interview with Bert from RO3D. So we're going to drop it same time. So next week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to drop the interview with Bert. So we're really excited because they keep saying how cool. I keep seeing articles and stuff like that from their LinkedIn profile and such, just saying how awesome and scalable these new RO3D and ROCX and ROScene, all this kind of stuff that they're coming out with. But I mean, I just have so many questions. Like, is it going to be available in the United States? And how? And are you in talks with other streaming platforms like Netflix and stuff? Since, Disney Plus obviously has their hands in with, they're holding hands with IMAX right now. So maybe RO3D is trying to sneak in behind, and getting in touch with Max or Netflix, whatever. So
yeah,
hopefully all the answers will be, or all the questions we have will be answered.
Yeah, or all the answers will be questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have more questions. No.
Siphonics wants to know, will you play the interview as a premiere so you'll be here to chat with us? I mean, yeah. You know what's funny is I had no idea what we were doing until just now when Elon said it. I didn't know it was replacing the live stream. I just thought like, oh, this is just going to be an extra video. So I'm glad we talked that out before.
Yeah.
No, it's
no,
funny.
We'll give ourselves a break because it's technically as if we're doing a live stream because we're going to do it through EVMux and
yeah. But I think doing a premiere would be kind of cool. We'll be here text chatting.
Yeah, that would be cool, actually.
Yeah, so we'll do that. And so we'll both be in the comment section. So if you guys have questions, and we can go like, stay tuned because we answered that in the blah blue.
Yeah, I've never done a Premiere before, so that'll be cool. That'd be cool.
Don't you use Premiere to edit? Premiere Pro?
I do.
That's a stupid joke, Brad. Stupid joke. Just to kind of double back here for a second. This was, I think, geared towards me, but do you know exactly what your curve should be in your room? Not yet, but according to Joe Intel, using his magic beans will tell me, and he is fairly certain that it should be close to what I already use.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And I will be talking about that in a video, because I will be flabbergasted if it is even close to what I use. Not flabbergasted. I have like an open mind. So I'm like, if he can do this, if this software could cut down on the amount of time that I have to calibrate, awesome.
Yeah.
But he also said, hey, if it doesn't work and you think it's a piece of shit, I want you to tell people what you think. So
yeah,
I'm going to be real. He's not paying me anything. So, I just want to be real, I'll let people know. So yeah, I will, we'll see. We shall see. All right, Alex. Oh wait, we just did that one. Never mind. Sorry, Alex. Thank you again for the question.
Yay.
This is we talked about this already, right? I think he worded it in a different way.
Correct.
Here. All right. Let's see. All right. Mosin asks, I'm thinking of upgrading my AVR and these are the options. What do you think? Is it the right investment? Denon X6800H, Anthem MRX 1140, Marantz Cinema 30. Open to any suggestions. So I have a Denon X6300H. I think it's a great investment. You have a lot of yes, you have four that you're choosing from. I'm gonna bring them up so
Well,
you kind of see.
Anthem, anything Anthem is geared towards people who are more on the stereo hi-fi audiophile side of things, as well as movie theater buffs. Because in all the Anthem products, you're going to find extremely high quality DACs when you are playing stereo music, but also just great DACs all around for even multi-channel stuff. So yeah, I would invest in an Anthem if you are listening to high-res music at least half of the time, half listening music, half watching TV and movies on that system. Because that's really Anthem's deal, is that they're putting high quality components for seamless transition between music listening and movie watching. But I also hear their Arc Genesis room correction is top notch.
Yeah.
So, kind of the same deal with Marantz, but I think Marantz would be just a slight step below Anthem when it comes to hybrid music / movie system.
Yeah.
Um,
Just looking at this
but I mean,
stuff. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Marantz has their HDAM amplifier topology, or whatever you want to call it. So that supposedly, according to them, enhances the music listening experience, as well as watching movies and multi-channel stuff. But I think the Marantz will actually have a few more features.
Yeah.
I don't know if Anthem supports RO3D. I can't remember that off the top of my head.
I'm looking at it now. We're just looking at Dolby Atmos and DTS:X. It looks like.
I think
take a look.
IMAX Enhanced it might support the Anthem, but I don't believe they're in cahoots with RO3D.
Here, you know what? I can share my
So
screen so you
if
guys can see it.
RO3D is important to you, then I would probably go with the Marantz Cinema 30.
Mm-hmm.
And also if you're into music. But if you're doing it just for movies and TV shows primarily, maybe occasionally, like 10%, 20% of the time, you're going to put on some music and listen to it through that same system, then I would probably go for the Denon. But if it's mainly movies, that's what Denons were built for. Because that's really the big difference between Denon and Marantz is Denon is movies, movies, movies. Marantz is movies and music.
Yeah. Something I do want to mention that if it's something important to you, the Anthem MRX 1140 only has 2 subwoofer outs, whereas both the Marantz Cinema 30 and the Denon X6800H have 4 independent subwoofer outs.
Right.
So if you were interested in running 4 subs and you were not interested in getting a mini DSP, then I would go with I would consider moving away from the Anthem. But only if you're sure you don't want to get a mini DSP. I mean, we're talking about a few $100 essentially. But that's something to consider.
Is there a way scroll back up to the top, or right there where we can see the back of it? Okay, so it does have a full set of pre-outs. Because I know Arcam and Anthem sometimes have like hybrid AVR slash preamps to
Mhm.
where like you're forced, like the first 5 channels or first 7 channels, you're forced to use the internal amps, but it can support up to like 15 channels. And the rest of them, you can have external amps to power those speakers.
Right.
But
Right.
this one in particular looks like you can power everything with external amps if that's something you decide you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not seeing Oro 3D though, on here,
Okay.
which,
So yeah, that's what
um,
I thought.
and it does say support up to 15.2 channels,
Right.
which is great. Um, but if we look at like the Marantz, I'm just looking at the back here
Yep.
for like the Marantz Cinema 30. So you do have pre-outs. These are all HDMI 2.1, so I don't think like if you're if you're going to be gaming on these, you shouldn't have an issue whatsoever.
Right.
But the Cinema 30 does support Oro 3D. I do
Mhm.
believe that it is a paid upgrade.
For Aura 3D?
I think so. I
I
could
think
be
so.
wrong.
I think it is built in.
Okay,
I
okay.
think
Maybe
I think a
I'm thinking
year.
Dirac. I'm thinking of the Dirac upgrade,
Yeah. True.
which is expensive if you want to get the full Dirac stuff.
Yeah, dude.
And then the 6800H, I did not select it, of course. Yeah, they're all around the same price. Within, you know. Oh, stop it! I don't want your no cookies for you.
Stop it,
Let's see.
pop-ups.
Right. Where's the back? Where is the back? There we go. Zoomage. I love it. I love it how it will not zoom in the picture. Okay, whatever. You guys can see the small screen there. What kind of? Hold on, let me. Can't even scroll. What the hell is this? This is garbage. Don't go with a Denon. The website's broken. But no, this has basically all the same thing, same things, minus the probably the minus the 15.4 channel
But
upgrade.
it does have point 0.4 at least.
Right. So
So
you do
yeah,
have
you can.
Odyssey, and then you do have Dirac Live room correction and Dirac Live bass control. All those are optional. So like these, the Dirac stuff is a paid upgrade. You do not get those included,
Right.
unfortunately.
Um,
Yeah.
Siphonics made a good point that the Pioneer LX805 has direct built in already.
Hmm.
It's 11 channels and it has pre-outs, etc. So that might be something to look into as well. Although I think that only supports 2 subwoofers. So if again you need more than 2 independent subwoofers,
Yeah.
either you can just get a mini DSP or maybe the Denon 6800 is your best bet.
Oh, this is also something to consider. Anthem has a noisy fan unless they changed it. Yeah, that's a
Oh,
yeah. Um, something to consider for sure. Because fan noise, like I mean, I have a
yeah.
PC in my room, and I'm not really concerned with fan noise. The Denon X6300H doesn't have a fan in it. It does
Mm,
get kind of toasty in the
yeah.
room if I don't prioritize the AC in the room. But
My Marantz SR7015 gets hot.
yeah.
Not just toasty, it gets hot.
You guys
So
ever forget to turn your stuff off? Like I'll turn the TV off and everything, but sometimes I'll forget to turn the receiver off. For whatever reason, I'll be like half asleep when I go to leave the theater room, and I'll come in the next day and I notice the light is on because I turn the screen off because I don't want to see the screen while I'm watching a
right.
movie or whatever. And I'm like, oh shit, it's still on, and I'll put my hand on there. I could fry a freaking egg if I wanted to. It's like, and this is with
Yeah.
nothing playing through it. It's just powered on.
Yeah, just on.
So Marv says my slightly used $500 X6500H, still rocking for 4 years now, have been using as a preamp for 11 channel. That is awesome, dude. I picked up the 6300H for $500 from a friend, and honestly, that's probably the best $500 I've ever spent.
Yeah, man.
On a receiver. Awesome. Very, very awesome. Let's see. Moving on.
One of these days, you're going to be able to experience powering all your speakers with external amps, man.
Yes. I can't wait. Set the AVR
I
off
can't
after 60
wait
minutes.
for you.
Hey. Well, I need to like get on that and get some amps.
Because
It's like a never-ending thing for me.
You're gonna like the way it sounds.
Hey man, I can't wait. Let's see. All right, moving on here. Kevin Gardner asked Brad Elin, I finally watched The Great Wall last night, and dang, the Atmos at times was great. Okay, fun fact here.
With Matt Damon, that one?
Yeah. Matt Damon. Yeah.
Matt Damon.
So I saw that movie when it first came out in like at home. Didn't have Atmos. I've never actually watched it in Atmos. And I don't really know. I think I might just watch some scenes because I really don't want to sit through the movie again. Once was enough. But yeah, I'll watch this. I'll watch some scenes over again. That's not a big deal. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I know, now with your 4 subs all dialed in and sealed.
Tight, man. Tightness.
It's like listening.
It hits hard.
Watching movies all over again.
I know, man. It is. You know that scene in Blade Runner 2049 where the car crashes, like the ship
or he's
or whatever?
he's in the air.
Yeah, and they're
like
going through the
lightning
city.
strikes.
Well, they're going through the city, and those guys attack them and like basically shoot them out of the sky.
Yeah, I love that scene.
That whole scene hits so different. Like it with proper subs. I was just like everything dialed in. It's like hard and impactful, but it doesn't like that movie has hot bass. I don't care what anybody says. Like some of the bass in that movie is just ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous. I honestly
the opening scene where that eyeball opens.
Honestly, hate the opening.
Like,
it's like probably one of the worst bass demos I've ever heard. Yeah. Not because of like it sounds awful. It's just it's just bass.
Keeps going.
Yeah, it's just bass. There's too much of a good thing there.
Yeah.
Can you ever have too much bass? But I never use the opening as like a demo scene. I always use that
right.
The like the crash scene, because then even like that subsequent like thing where he gets out of the car and like the
missiles come down.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I've played that scene so many times. I could like spot like legs flying off when people fly up through the thing, and you see like blood going. Dude, it's so cool. It's a little attention to detail.
My favorite part about that scene is, they've got that thing that they shoot up in the air, which attracts the lightning. Which hits the car, and it just fries it, and he's just coasting. As soon as that happens, I love it. How the
audio just goes away.
Music, everything goes away except for just the rain trickling on it, and just this.
There's a nice little when that happens, it cuts to like the inside of the car or ship or whatever, and you see the dashboard lights go out, and when the sound effect hits, there's like a nice almost like it's kind of bassy, like you can hear the power being drawn from it almost.
Yeah.
It's super cool how it's done.
Yeah. That sound design is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's unfortunately the movie not so awesome. Anybody else have a problem with Jared Leto ruining movies for you? Like if he's in something, I'm just like, here we go again. What was his name in My So-Called Life? His character, Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan
Catalano. Catalano.
Yeah.
All right. So let's answer this question now instead of gushing over Jared Leto. Whoa. So Jose asks, I want to set my Klipsch RP500M2 as front height. It's got a keyhole, but doesn't seem to be very reliable. Drilling some holes in the back of the speakers would be dangerous for them. I typically wouldn't recommend it, but
I'd say so. Yeah.
okay, I have like some really cheap old speakers that I drilled holes in. I didn't care about them, but like I was like testing stuff out. I was like, screw it. These are like literally $30. I'll just put a couple holes in the back.
Mhm.
I mean, they worked. Did they reduce the sound quality? Maybe. But like I would say if you're gonna drill into them, just make sure where you're drilling there isn't anything that you're going to hit on the other side of that.
Yeah.
You know?
And also like make sure they're nice and sealed after
Yep.
you've plugged them up and whatever.
Yeah, you can even use like maybe like a rubber washer, some type
Yeah.
of like that way you're not creating extra. I mean, just something to like not let sound escape. Not that it honestly like holes that small. Are they really going to impact?
I
Is that
mean,
going to be a
I guess just make
noticeable?
sure you're screwed into a stud.
Yeah,
'Cause that's what,
drywall anchors aren't going to really do.
yeah. I mean, that's what the keyhole mount is for. I mean, they're
Yeah,
supposed to be able to withstand however heavy the speaker is, as long as you find a stud to put them in.
yep. Or a stud to install them.
But
Yeah, there we go. Oh my gosh. All right. Moving on. Stephen McNeely asked, do you know of any speaker stands that can raise a 40-pound bookshelf speaker to 55 inches? I would have to look at the stands that I recently bought to see the weight. I think they go,
pound.
that's a hell of a speaker.
Yeah.
That's a chunky boy. Let me
Wow.
see. Um,
Well, I'll tell you right now, good speaker stands, especially ones that can handle a 40-pound load, those are not going to be cheap.
no. You
Expect
might,
to pay a few $100s for something like
yeah.
that sturdy. It's pretty ridiculous how insanely expensive speaker stands are, or nice ones.
Yeah. Um, yeah, these aren't, I'm not even going to mention the ones I bought because they hold up to 11 pounds. So, 40-pound speaker stand. Oh man. I mean, you may want to you honestly may have to look at something that's in more of like the pro audio, like think
Oh,
of like a
yeah,
Guitar Center
Marv just said
PA
PA
stand.
stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like Guitar Center if you have, or Sam Ash if you have one of those around, or even like you can go on. Why can't I think of some site like there's Reverb? You can get used gear,
Right.
Sweetwater. That's where I buy all of my audio like gear, like guitar stands and guitars and things like that.
Yeah, Paul had a good point. Use a Visa TV mount because those
Yes,
can
yeah,
withstand a lot of weight as well.
yep. That is a good suggestion, Paul. Thank you. Hopefully
Yeah.
that helps. Yeah, 40 pounds. I'm wondering what speaker you're using. Like what
Yeah.
bookshelf are you trying
I
to,
mean, it makes
if
me
you're still,
seem like it's a PA speaker.
yeah, yeah. If you're still here in the comments, Steven, yeah, like let us know what speaker you're using. Cause that 40 pounds
Yeah.
for a bookshelf. Whoa.
You have piqued my interest. What are these 40-pound speakers?
Right. Okay. So
Focal Utopia?
maybe those are nice speakers. They look nice in person too. All right. Are you ready for this? This is going to be this is a controversial topic.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Do you think that if the Apple 4K TV allows us to download movies, it could be better than Kaleidoscape?
As long as they are bit perfect.
You took the words right out of my mouth. If we're dealing with, like, let's say Netflix allows us to download movies, 4K UHD movies. It's
Yeah.
still only as good as the file they're hosting. So if they're hosting a compressed file that was compressed down from, like, let's say whatever the studio gave them, then technically that file will not be as good as something from Kaleidoscape, right?
Mhm.
However, what I will say is visually, you might not be able to tell the difference. On the audio side of things, though, I think honestly, I'm going to give my hot take. Are you guys ready? This is my hot take. Um, I'm in no cahoots with Kaleidoscape or any of these companies. So as a consumer, I'm kind of okay with where we're at with streaming video. So if I could just get the video,
Yeah.
it's okay. I feel like there it would be great if it was like a grainier show that has like film grain, lots of film grain. It would be great to have a higher like quality version because grain and compression are not friends. Like
Mhm.
they're like that's the easiest way to like cause issues. But if I just can just get lossless audio, that's what I'm really that's what really kind of bums me out in general about like streaming stuff, right? So
Yeah.
like what I'll say, here's my hot take. So if I can I'd be okay with the current video, like the form that it's in. Um I would take a slightly higher bit rate if possible, but give me lossless audio, Dolby Atmos, DTSX, basically whatever format the studio I want that. That's what I like. Whatever the format the
Mhm.
studio gives you, that's what I want. If I could download that to a hard drive and play it back locally, then it will be. I'll be happy, and I won't like. Will it be better than the Kaleidoscape? If we're looking at bits, no. Will it be 1,000 times cheaper? Yeah. So to me, if it's more affordable and it gets you, I mean, come on. Most people, if the user system was as simple as that, Apple comes out with a thing, you buy a hard drive, you can download movies to it. I don't think most people are going to notice a difference. And here's something that Apple could do that Kaleidoscape may not be able to do. Kaleidoscape does not support Dolby Vision.
Oh, that's
So if
right.
if
Yeah.
Apple were to come out with something that supports Dolby Vision, I really think like I think like yeah, Apple could technically I don't want to say kill Kaleidoscape, um, but they would definitely Kaleidoscape would definitely have to rethink their strategy, because right now they're kind of a boutique brand designed for like the ultra high end kind of 1 to 3%
Mhm.
home theaters out there. I mean, I've been vocal about that before, that to get into the Kaleidoscape system for someone like me or even someone like Elon, let's say we have 15 to 20K invested in our theaters, a Kaleidoscape system's going to be 13 grand new to get into.
Mhm.
Now, granted, we could probably get into it for cheaper because we're in the industry. We could do reviews on it and get discounts on stuff. But
Sure.
then the movies, you got to buy the movies. And I have a few friends that have Kaleidoscapes. They have higher end theaters, and they're constantly telling me how they're like, "Oh yeah, we bought it. It was $40." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what? Like $40?" Like, and yeah, okay, I get it. If you have a family, you may go to the theater often. You may not want to go to the theater often. It's like way too much money. So $40 is kind of a steal for a movie
True.
that you can own in that aspect, right? You now have it. You can watch it over and over again. We're not talking about a $40 rental. We're talking about a $40 movie that you could, own. You're paying that
Yeah.
premium to have it now, which is somewhat understandable. Instead of going out to the theater, you know, spending money on gas, spending money on food, snacks, whatever. I mean, I haven't been to the theater in a while. I know prices have not gone down on food. They've probably gone up. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's easily going to cost you for two people more than $40 to go to the theater these days, unless you
Yeah.
are really frugal and you're like $5 Tuesdays or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like better in a technical sense, probably not. Better in a financial sense, absolutely. It would make more financial sense to get involved with like that. Now, if you're
Mm.
after the like ultimate quality, no matter the cost, then Kaleidoscape is probably your only option. You know, unless like honestly, to me, there's no real big difference between the Kaleidoscape and physical media in terms of quality.
Yeah.
That's my take. Anyway, Elon, I've talked long enough about this. Do you want to chime in? I got to see what comments have made.
I should have starred this. But somebody was talking about how, like, to kind of go along with this, if Apple did in fact start doing something similar to what Kaleidoscape is doing already, um, in would you be able to put it on your own hard drive, or would it have to live on the Apple TV and it can't be transferred anywhere else? And knowing Apple, that's probably what's going to happen. They're like, in order for it to work most efficiently and have no problems, you're probably going to have to deal with Apple's own proprietary. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Their own proprietary drive, or maybe they'll have like an Apple TV 4K Pro that also comes with like its own internal storage to where you can store your movies and stuff, but it doesn't work any other way.
yeah,
Like that would be my prediction, is that Apple is just going to pull another Apple
yeah,
and say, you got to do it our way or the highway. So, but
yeah.
yeah, and then somebody else commented about, like, hopefully the new version of Apple TV 4K has a Thunderbolt port to where
Yeah, I
you
saw
can
that here. Here we go. Marv.
plug in a hard drive.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
yeah. Although, you know what I mean, I love external drives, but what I was thinking is I mean, the Apple TV is small enough, but also like wide enough that it could technically fit like a little slot underneath that you could pop open and add an NVMe drive, like a
Hmm.
super fast, like you could do 4 terabyte drive. I mean, they're kind of costly, but imagine just being able to like put in a 4 terabyte drive similar
Yeah,
to how you can on like a PS5,
right.
put it in, boot it up. Apple TV's like, oh, we noticed you have this. Would you like to format it, for use for the media storage? Yeah, I would love to. Okay. And now you have 4 terabytes of hard drive space to store your movies on, just to have something local. And then you have something external as well. That would be cool. But like you said, they're not going to do that. Like we can't do any, like I'm using a MacBook Air. I can't open this thing. I can't add RAM. I can't add a hard drive, like other than like external stuff.
Hmm.
Maybe I could just download some more RAM online. I don't know, but make it go faster. Yeah, I think Apple is really like typical Apple. They don't want you, if you're going to upgrade something, they want you to have to buy a whole new product. There are no upgrades from which is completely fucking stupid. It's just so, I hate it. That's the one thing I mean, one of the
Yeah.
many things I don't like about Apple in general, but can't deny that, like, I edit all my videos on like literally a base model M1 MacBook Air. Come on. Like,
Yeah. I get it. I get it
yeah,
because they make the software and the hardware.
yeah,
So because of that, it's just going to work.
yeah. But
So
they're
I
also
get
not the
that
only ones.
I know, I get that they don't
Sony,
want you to
yeah,
add third-party stuff that may screw with things. So, it's understandable, but it also is very frustrating at the same
yeah.
time.
Sony, like for years with their digital cameras, you had to buy those stupid purple memory sticks and these.
Yeah.
Sony's always just kind of say, hey, you know what would be cool if we had mini discs instead of CDs? And, I still think of that scene in Last Action Hero where he pops in the mini disc in his
Uh-huh.
car and plays. I was like, oh,
That's not dated at
Right?
all.
What? What? Oh, Kevin Gardner coming in hot with a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate
Thank
it.
Evan.
$5 question. Do either of you have movies on Vudu, and do you get real Atmos while playing your paid for Atmos films? I only get 5 channel plus LFE. Sucks. So I do have movies on Vudu. I haven't used Vudu in a while. I do remember specifically playing Vudu movies on the Apple TV back in the day, at least. Uh, they were going through all sorts of issues with like not like triggering Dolby Vision or HDR, but also like Dolby Atmos. Like you just get like 5.1 instead of Atmos. And then some movies are not even in Atmos that say they're in Atmos. I don't know if that's still the case, like they were mislabeled. It makes me wonder because like Vudu, I think it's still owned by Walmart. I think.
Possibly. They are
Yeah.
they are now technically called Fandango at Home.
Oh.
So I don't know if Fandango also has some ties with Walmart, which is
Oh yeah. Vudu was purchased by Fandango in 2020. So now Fandango owns them.
but I
Wow.
still think I don't know. Does that mean they're only is their parent company Walmart in the end, or is Fandango their own thing?
A joint venture between NBC Universal and Warner Brothers Discovery. So
Oh,
Fandango at Home. Yeah, this is just a quick like Google search. Fandango at Home is an American digital video store and streaming service owned by Fandango Media, a joint venture between NBC Universal and Warner Brothers.
okay.
Discovery. Got to add Discovery on the end now.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, I mean, that's interesting. What movies in particular just like if you can name a few, Kevin, if I have them in my
Yeah.
library, I will check it out on both the Apple 4K TV and through the internal app on my LG OLED
Right.
to see.
Because, but also, I mean, this might be a silly thing to say because this might be something you already know, but just to make sure we got all of our boxes checked,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you have to have a 4K TV because Vudu or Fandango at Home will sense if you have a 4K TV or not. But also, you got to have the 4K UHD version of that movie to have it be in Atmos,
Yeah.
because everything streaming nowadays, even Netflix and Disney Plus, whatever, Dolby Atmos is always tied to 4K. You'll
Yeah.
never see 1080p with an Atmos track when you're streaming.
That's true. That's true.
So I
And
guess just make sure everything is 4K.
yeah, I
First of
think that's something that can be slightly misleading as well. Not misleading, but it's not exactly clear that like you may own the movie in HD and there is a 4K version available. And when you go to the movie, it'll say Dolby Atmos supported or whatever. I can't remember the exact verbiage,
Yeah.
but it will say that. And when you go to start the movie, it won't play it in that. And I've noticed that with, there were other things too. Like, I mean, for a while, the movies app or the iTunes store or whatever on Apple would say that like I own the 4K UHD version when I didn't, and I would start it and it was just in HD. This was like a couple years ago. They were like ironing out all the kinks as like 4K UHD was becoming far more popular and more prominent. And you know, they were doing the thing where like basically if you bought the HD version through their store, you got a free upgrade. But the problem was if you redeem that code through say Voodoo and you had your libraries linked, you know, through like the 12 million different freaking services that it's like you got this and you got what was it, ultraviolet or something like
Yep.
UV or something.
Yeah. I
Uh,
remember that.
um yeah, and it would look at those, but it couldn't discern like if you redeemed the code through Apple or if you redeemed it through Vudu. So, yeah, I'd be curious to know what movies you are trying to do that with. And if you have any other devices, like if you've like already figured out, okay, I own the 4K version. I should be getting Dolby Atmos, and it's not working on this device. If you have another device to give it a shot on, and you do get Dolby Atmos on that, okay. If you don't, yeah, I saw he posted an update here. Oh, he's got a 1080p TV.
I've asked them for an answer several times and they refuse to give me a proper answer. Netflix, Disney Plus, and others work just effing fine with my 1080p TV, Emotiva MC1, and ATV 4K. Apple TV 4K.
Yeah. So Vudu, so I do know that Netflix, you can have a 1080p TV and get Dolby Atmos at the same time. You can do HD and like Dolby Atmos. I believe you can also do that with what's the other one? Amazon Prime and Disney. I haven't tested this with Disney Plus, but it's possible. I think it's possible. Don't quote me on the Disney Plus, but I do know you can do that with Netflix. I think though, Elon, you're right with Vudu. If it's sending a 1080p signal, it has no way to grab that Atmos track and put it out with that 1080p signal. So even though you have the 4K version, Kevin, Vudu's still sending out the HD stream, and Vudu, from my knowledge, and Elon said they've never connected an HD stream with an Atmos track.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately,
that is why you may there may be like scaling things that you can get that you plug up between but see, now you're like adding more to the mix and it like could get like slightly complicated. But yeah, I believe that is probably why.
Yeah.
Which sucks because you can, you're paying for the 4K version. You would at least think, oh, well, they'll just give me the Atmos track.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid.
Well, Kevin, I think we know what your next upgrade in your theater should be. You should get a 4K TV.
LG OLED, buddy. No, I'm just get what you want. Let's see. All right. Well, we got a few more questions here. We're gonna try to get answered. We are hitting right at 2 hours. That seems to be our go-to. Thanks again, Kevin, though, for the super chat, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
Let's see here. Get rid of that. All right. So Kevin again asks, is the NVIDIA unit really better than the Apple 4K TV, and why? Nope. That's my answer.
The only advantage of running stuff through the NVIDIA Shield TV or Pro is that it supports lossless pass-through.
Yep, for your audio stuff.
For your audio.
And it will.
So yeah.
Yeah, and it will. I'd say if, like, you can, like, run Plex and stuff on it. I talked earlier about like my experience with that. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, it's frustrating as hell. Mm-hmm. If all you're interested in is streaming from like Netflix or Disney Plus or Vudu or whatever, then yeah, I would say the Apple 4K TV is my go-to, mainly because I still don't know if the NVIDIA Shield TV Pro has like auto refresh rate switching on their app side. So like Netflix and stuff like that will not automatically flip over to like 24p when it detects that. Whereas like the Apple 4K TV will do that, which is important to some people, not in others. Someone maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they've ever updated that out of beta on the NVIDIA Shield. They had a beta thing where you like hit it and it was supposed to Like whatever you're watching, it was supposed to like just go, oh, okay, this is 24p. Let's send that, and I could never get it to work properly. But it's not an issue with Plex. Plex has its own built-in refresh rate switching. So
Oh, right.
yeah, so that works fine there. I think Kodi does as well. But yeah, so I
Oh,
would
here's one that just came up that kind of
sure.
ties in with this. Will we be able to use Apple TV for IMAX/DTS decoding? Which I'm sure he's alluding to Disney Plus on
Hmm.
next Wednesday. As far as, at least right now, I still haven't gotten any word that Apple TV 4K is going to support DTS audio. So unless between now and next Wednesday they come out with a firmware update that suddenly allows it to support DTS audio, then no, Apple TV 4K will not work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know because I still haven't received the Sony Bravia 7 TV. So I may be SOL with getting IMAX Enhanced to even work. Because, I have the SR 7015 from Marantz, which supports IMAX, but, my LG C9 does support DTS, fortunately, but will that translate to also somehow passing through an IMAX enhanced audio signal?
Hmm.
We'll find out next Wednesday. So
Yeah.
it's up in the air.
I mean, Apple just had their big stream, like event stream today, whatever, announcing new products and new software updates for some of their software, but they didn't announce anything for no new Apple 4K TV or anything like that.
Dang it.
So what the hell? Come on, Apple. All right, let's see. We got like 5 more questions, it looks like. So let's kind of run through those before we end
Yeah.
it here.
Lightning round.
Siphonics. Yes. Can you overload your room with speakers or subs that are too large? Can you tune them for the room size regardless of speaker size, sub size? From
We
personal
kind of hit on
experience,
that with subs.
yeah, with subs, personal experience, yes, you can definitely dial those in. Um, I think you can overload your room if like size wise, yeah, but
True.
you
I
know,
mean, you don't want speakers right next to you.
right, right, yeah, it's like just one giant speaker in your face. Um, I think that most the generalized answer would be no, but you do have to make sure you calibrate them properly. Uh,
Yeah.
but
It's just all about calibration. Yeah.
yeah, but with that said, you do have to keep in mind that like some speakers have different dispersion patterns and everything, so that could potentially cause an issue if you're
True.
really going like massive speakers and things. I mean, how many people here have seen those forum posts that people build their own speakers and subwoofers, and they're just like wall, like from like the bottom all the way up to the ceiling of just like subs and drivers and things.
Right.
I mean, people do it all the time.
Yeah.
You want to break your foundation, go ahead, but like that's total like ridiculousness there. But you know what? That's their own money. It's what they want to do. Go for it. Yeah, I do think it's possible if you just throw speakers in a room and go, okay, we're good. But yeah, if you calibrate them and dial them in, I think it would be, you might just end up with a shit ton of headroom.
Yep.
If you have like, and that's never headroom. I don't know that you could ever really have enough of. Like you could always, there's no harm in having more headroom than you think you'd need.
Yeah.
Because that
for sure.
just gives you a little more leeway for a lot of things. So, let's see. Okay, next question from Joel.
Ba-dum-bum.
After level or game matching my 4 subs to 75, 77 dB, and after applying delays, a virtual sub has peaks at over 100 dB.
Whoa.
Before using REW to EQ the house curve within MIDI DSP, should I lower? Crap, where's the other part? I didn't see the other part. I just
right
read that one.
below.
Hey, highlight it. Highlight it for me.
Oh, I was just saying that, but I haven't.
Oh,
found it.
Oh, here we go. So should I lower the gain or level within mini DSP so it doesn't cut so much? Heard it was also not good to cut so much within mini DSP. Something about voltage in versus voltage out can cause early clipping. So yeah, if you're getting peaks of, so as an example, when I calibrate my stuff, I normally am hitting peaks at around 90 to 95 dB in my room. And that's with the subs set to 77, 78.
Mhm.
I do that just so I've never had a problem with cutting too much. Although if I was getting 100 dB, I would probably lower the volume on the subs first. I would evenly go
That's
through
really
and
loud.
yeah. So like I would probably just reduce each sub by 2 dB.
Yeah.
If you can, if you have like something with SVS like app control, it's really easy. Just go sub by sub, reduce them all by the same amount. You shouldn't have to like re-level match anything. Even if you use the mini DSP volume controls to really fine tune things. Um, yeah, yeah, I would do that. And then if you need to, that way you're not cutting as much. Um, but also what you could do is, you know, it's you could just use the oh, what the heck is I can't think right now. When you're in the EQ window on the mini DSP or on the in REW, um, you calculate target level from response, and it
Mhm.
will give you like you have to kind of shape it for like you have to tell it it's a subwoofer, but then it will just kind of zip the line right up there, whatever your house curve, or if you want to do it flat, we'll zip it up there, and then you're only EQing that, and then you can adjust the volume on the mini DSP, but you're still gonna probably have to reduce that volume by like 20 dB or so. If you're or
Mm.
like not 20 dB, but like maybe 5 to 10 dB. Whereas like there's no harm in just dropping each sub by 2 dB unless you're using I will say this, unless you're using subs with manual gain knobs. It's real like that really sucks. I don't miss I like having app control on subs for setting volume it's such like a quality of life feature that I don't want to like live without anymore. I don't miss like, oh crap, I gotta lower the sub volume. Let me go over to the sub and turn the knob down. Yeah, I know, first world problems, but it's okay. It's okay. Um, but yeah, that would be my recommendation is lower the volume on the subs first and then go
Yeah.
from there. Because like even if you go down to 90 dB, you're still gonna have a crap ton of headroom
Mhm.
to do everything that you want to do. That's what I normally end up with here. Let's see. Moving on. Question: what do you guys think about Cody? I don't like Cody.
Cody
I don't like that.
sucks.
I don't like that guy, Cody.
He was a
No,
bully.
I don't use Cody much. I have in the past. I typically will use Cody if Plex does not like something. I'll get an example is my Twister German 4K Blu-ray rip
Mhm.
that I ripped myself from my imported disc. Plays out of sync on Plex.
Oh,
Does not play out of sync on Cody. For whatever reason,
interesting.
Plex does not like that Dolby Atmos track. I think it might have something to do with just
The Germans.
no. I don't. Let's not start anything there.
The Germans.
Yeah. Um, I don't know what's causing it. So yeah, in that aspect, Cody works, but also what's the other one? I think it's Just Video Player or Just Player that works, and there's another one that starts with a V that I don't remember what it's called, but it was like $2.99 or something, and that also works. But Plex is the only thing that gave me an issue.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem
Weird.
with Cody. Cody's very like kind of open. Like you can adjust a lot of stuff within Cody. I think for a lot of people, it's too much. It's too much customization and too much work to set up Cody. Now, if you're talking about like repositories and well, that's a whole topic for maybe a private stream, because it's we're getting into legal things there that I do not support whatsoever. Anyway, moving on. Elin, did you get the chance to ask your friend about Sony Core Movies performance on PS5?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I didn't.
I was like, did I say something? What's happening? What's going on here?
No, I didn't. Man, I will make a note of that because I totally spaced that. I
You
am
dropping
so
the
sorry,
ball,
Jose.
man. Dropping the ball.
I'm making a note right now.
It is definitely cord cutter to answer your question. It's not VLC player. I'm trying to remember what the heck it's called. Not sure. Not sure at all. All right, here we go. So Dwayne, I think this is our last question. Dwayne asks, why does Apple have Dolby Vision settings? Some YouTubers say put your Apple TV 4K on SDR setting.
We did get a few questions that just came in.
Oh,
just so you know.
If you want to star them.
Yeah.
So Dwayne, to answer your question, I don't know what. Maybe okay. So I think the Apple 4K TV by default, if I remember correctly, will default to whatever the max capability of your display is. So if that's Dolby Vision, it will say Dolby Vision all day, all the time. Any content you feed through this, Dolby Vision. Don't change it, whatever. Don't dynamically change it. So if something is an SDR, just play it back through Dolby Vision. It's not technically Dolby Vision. It's just HDR in a Dolby Vision container, if that makes sense. It's basically just not changing the tone mapping or anything at all. It's just putting that into a container for Dolby Vision. Maybe what this person is talking about is changing the Apple 4K TV over to SDR, which I have done, and then basically setting the Apple TV 4K. I cannot remember the name of the setting, but it's basically telling it, hey, whatever dynamic, I think it's match dynamic range, whatever dynamic range of content is that you're trying to play is, switch over to that. So if it's SDR, it'll just play an SDR. If it's only HDR10, there are some Apple TV movies, like The Mummy, the one with Tom Cruise, that one's only in HDR10. So it'll only play back in HDR10. And then if it's something like you're watching something through Netflix, it'll pretty much everything's in Dolby Vision. That's 4K on there. But if it's SDR, again, it'll play back in SDR. So maybe that's what they're talking about. I would recommend to have it dynamically change the dynamic range based on the content and the refresh rate based on the content. That's my recommendation.
Oh my goodness. So many people trying to get their questions in at the last second.
Let's see. JC says, what's your thoughts on concentric speakers, KEF, Ascendo Audio? I think they're cool looking. They sound okay. I've heard Ascendo, and I have heard KEF.
Ascendo?
Yeah, they're pretty cool looking. What about you, Elon?
Well, I know Aaron's Audio Corner just reviewed the KEF Blade 2, and he said they sounded incredible.
Awesome.
I mean, they should with their price point.
Yeah.
But also I don't currently have any. I used to have the Aperion Audio A5 height module speakers as my height channels, which are concentric. And I really do like the concentric design for heights, because then you've got just a little bit, it just concentrates it a little bit more towards your listening position, since the woofer and the tweeter are housed really in line with each other. So it's, if you can have concentric for your heights, I would recommend that, but it's not like a deal breaker either. But again, they look really cool. So if aesthetics is part of your deal, then yeah, I would definitely go with concentric as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Devon Franklin asks, "Hey guys, love your show. Thank you. My question is, what speakers would you compare to Klipsch movies only? I love the lively Klipsch sound. Are there speakers that do it better? I'm not a huge Klipsch guy, so I'm not saying they're bad. Their treble hurts my soul and my eyeballs. They're very lively. They're known for being very lively. I think most other
Very bright.
speakers, yeah, very bright, almost like sharp, I would say, in terms of sound. Like they're very
Mhm.
like when like glass breaks, you're gonna feel it with Klipsch.
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of their signature. I don't know, like, I mean, that's predominantly because they're using horn-loaded tweeters.
Hmm.
I don't know of any. I think better here, like saying, are there any other speakers that do it better? That would be like subjective. Because for me, I don't want something that's that kind of bright. So like maybe something that would tame that down a little bit, but still be bright. You know, I don't know of anything off the top of my head.
Paul says JBL Studio 5, but they're still not as bright compared to Klipsch.
Yeah.
Comparable.
Yeah. I really think if you're looking for that kind of bright, lively, sharp sound, a sharp's a weird word to use to describe a speaker, but it's kind of it, I mean, if you said that sounded really sharp, I think someone would go, "Yeah, it hurt my ears," you know?
Mhm.
Like they would know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to find something that matches Klipsch unless it's like you built it yourself or someone builds you a custom speaker,
Yeah. And I
you know?
and uh, s- piggybacking on what Paul's saying, I believe the Studio 5s also are horn loaded. I know JBL has some horn loaded speakers. So I think that also plays into being very similar to Klipsch speakers. But that would make sense why
Studio
they
5
seem
series
similar.
speakers. Yes, they definitely look like they have horns. Holy crap. Uh,
They
let me
got
see.
horns.
Uh,
Yeah, Paul
because
says they do. Yeah.
okay, cool. So I'm just gonna take Paul's word for it. Cool. Awesome. Um,
Thanks, Paul.
thanks, Paul, for your information and knowledge. Moving on. Hopefully that answers your question, Devon. I'm sorry if yeah, it's yeah, clips are really unique
They are.
speakers in terms of their sound signature. You
Mhm.
either I've never met someone that just said, "Oh, they're fine." It's either like, "Oh man, I love the way they sound," or "I hate clips."
Yeah.
I've never found someone that's right in the middle where they're just kind of like, "Eh."
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Dwayne asked,
Polarizing.
Yes, they're very polarizing. Don't interrupt me again. You're fired. No, I'm kidding. I have a pair of SVS Pro 1000s. When I do room EQ, what's the distance set to 25 feet? Is this normal? Normally, what the distance setting is doing on the, like if you're running Odyssey, it's essentially trying to align the sub with the rest, like with your main left and right speakers or your main like center channel. I think it's the left and right when Odyssey does it.
Mhm.
Um, it's not really looking so much as like the actual physical distance. It's looking like what's like, and this may be like too
It's the
advanced for even.
acoustic distance.
Yeah, I mean that's probably a better term for it. I don't believe. I mean, Odyssey may look at the impulse response and try to align it as close as it can. In my experience, it never gets it right. Um, the sub distance is basically in your receiver. I've said it before. Is like an alignment tool to align your subs to your speakers. It
Yeah.
like you could take a tape measure from your listening position to the sub, and while you may be able to put that exact distance in, it will probably not give you the best performance because
Yeah.
sound waves from your sub or the bass waves are gonna arrive at a different time in the time domain than your speakers will, because the woofers are a different size, and like there's a lot of different things. And I was talking to Joe about that last week when we talked about Magic Beans and stuff. But yeah, so it's not uncommon for like that to happen. As an example, my center channel is at 1.8 meters, because I measure everything by meters, because I'm one of those weird people. I don't do the feet thing anymore. I've ascended to a higher plane of
Ah,
existence.
yes.
I'm
You
like
are
David
metric.
Jackson in Stargate. So like, yeah, I don't know what that would be in feet. I can't. What is math? No. But yeah, so that's 1.8 meters, which is, roughly 5.9 feet, almost 6 feet. Let's just say 6 feet. My sub is at 7 meters.
Whoa.
So that should give you an indication. So we're looking at the difference between
20 some odd feet.
23 feet, about 20. Yeah. So 6 feet to 23 feet. So is this norm? Yes. When it's proper, when things are properly aligned, and that's not even, because I have a mini DSP, that's not even perfect. Technically, I need to go maybe another half, like 0.5, like 5 meters to get it aligned properly. But I can't. Like, there's a limitation within the Denon that won't allow you to set it past a certain point, which is kind of weird. It's kind of like, why have these arbitrary values? Just let me push it as far as I want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that is typically the norm. I don't think anything's wrong there. It's really hard to say for sure unless you take out like a measurement microphone and use Room EQ Wizard to look at the impulse peaks and see where they line up. Odyssey normally doesn't get the timing just right with their speaker stuff, so it could be slightly off. But yeah, no cause for concern, though, I would say. JC asks, I have a low ceiling. Would the best option for Atmos speakers be like an Oro config mounting in the top corners? I guess it would depend how low. Like, we're talking 7 feet.
And also how far away your walls are from your listening position too.
That's true. What would you say, Elon?
If we're talking 4 speakers, yeah, I would still try and to the best of your ability, try and get those height speakers as close to 30 degrees as you can.
Yeah.
So depending on how far away your wall is to your listening position, 30 degrees may be up on your wall still,
Yeah.
as opposed to on the ceiling. So, yeah, I would. I mean, the whole science behind RO3D's reasoning of having a 30-degree angle is so that it just, your brain processes height information better when it's at a 30-degree angle. So if you try to get as close as 30 degrees as you can, doesn't really matter how low or high your ceiling is.
Yeah.
It should have the same effect.
You should have went with DeGeese.
Degrees.
DeGeese. If it's 30 degrees, I think that's
Yeah.
rewriting the English language on the live stream. I love it. Love it. All right, moving on.
30 degrees.
Hi, right. Van Damage asks, thoughts on the I'm not going to do that. Thoughts on the newly announced Hisense PX3 Pro UST with polarized passive 3D support. Oh, we're still on 3D. I mean, I think it's cool that 3D's still around. If that's the biggest selling point to it, which I don't think it is.
That's 3D without glasses, right? That's the whole passive part of it?
No, passive is like non-shutter glasses. So like how 3D's kind of been done before. This is kind of like a passive 3D is more, or polarized is more or less what you see when you go to the movie theater. and they give you like the real D glasses. So like
Yeah. Okay.
what's great is, you've ever noticed if you turn your head, like the glasses are polarized, so then it just the 3D effect breaks because the polarization is only meant to go one way.
Right.
So you're like, what's happening? Um, yeah, let me just look up that real quick because I'm curious. Pro.
Yeah, I have yet to
VX.
experience a UST in my theater. I hope to do that at some point.
Contrast ratio 3000 to 1, so not that great, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's always, I mean, compared to, I don't compare it to other projectors, so it does reach 110% of the BT 2020 color space, which is good. Yeah, I mean, it's IMAX enhanced. I mean, on paper, this looks like, I mean, we have, my wife and I have the Hisense U7H that Hisense provided to me for review, and they let me keep it. And it's a great kind of budget display. It's not top of the line or anything like that, but I mean, it's 85 inches, and I think at the time it was like $1,600 or $1,700. Does 4K 120, all that stuff. So Hisense is coming up in terms of like value overall. I think we're looking at 3,500. No, I'm on their site right now, and it's like, oh, this is on projector screen. Someone's trying to chat with me. We want you to purchase this. So it's $3,500. It looks like that they're kind of okay. It's like a laser, right? It's a red, green, blue trichroma laser, 25,000 hour rated lamp life or lamp life. It is only 60 hertz though for gaming. Of course they know. I mean, 60 is fine, but like I would be curious of like what the input latency is and everything.
Yeah. Once you go 120, you don't
Hey
wanna go
man.
back.
Well, I was just thinking 120 3D, that'd be kind of cool. But if you could do 60 3D, that's still cool. Yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, on paper it looks cool. Polarized 3D, that is yeah. The shutter glasses were such a pain in the butt back in the day.
Yeah.
Although I have a thing with 3D where it's hard because wearing glasses on top of glasses,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think when's it supposed to come out? I don't know. It's not out yet.
Tomorrow.
What? I mean, it was just announced in April. So yeah, without diving in too far where this is coming out. But anyway, we got one question left here. Oh, we've been going 2.5 hours. Jeez. All right. I don't even think this is a question. This is more like a statement. Hope we get a good experience with Disney and DTS next week. That would be awesome. I'd love to see it. Love to see it.
Yeah.
Elon, you'll have to let us know.
Yeah, I surely will.
You're going to be making some content on it, or
I will.
so.
I'll be ready to go. Hopefully,
There you go.
next Wednesday.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Very curious. Very curious. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the live stream podcast. Like I said, like we talked about earlier, next week we will not be live, but we will be showing a pre-recorded conversation.
We will be live in the comments, though.
Yes, we will be doing a live premiere, so that should be super fun. Hope you guys can join us. We'll be chatting with Bert from Oro 3D.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, so it should be a lot of fun. Elon, do you have any closing comments that you'd like to?
Man, yeah. Just to reiterate, because I've let my audience know about IMAX coming to Disney Plus next week, and I really hope that I can actually make it work, because it would be super disappointing if next Wednesday rolls around and I can't even, just my particular setup doesn't support it. So just because I'm really excited to let all of you know what my findings are, and if indeed I get it to work, if it does sound better, more, closer to uncompressed audio than what Disney Plus Atmos has been doing
Yeah.
up until now. So, yeah,
Excited.
fingers crossed. Hopefully, I can make it all work.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm excited to see what you come up with, and not come up with, but what your experience is like, and yeah,
Yeah, man. Um, yeah, Michael, will it work with the Nakamichi Dragon? Don't know. To
we
be
don't have
honest,
the answers.
I mean, even though it supports DTSX Pro, you'll probably have to have like a Sony TV or a TV
Yeah.
that supports IMAX enhanced audio built in.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, probably not.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where it'll release, and there's going to be growing pains for sure. Like things are not going to work, for a lot of people probably, or you might have to buy a specific device, or like you said, a Sony TV, or if it works on the Shield Pro. I don't have an IMAX enhanced anything really, so I wonder, will I be able to get DTS? Like there really is nothing special about this. I mean, it's still going to be
Well,
lossy.
your Denon should support IMAX enhanced, I believe.
No, it's old. It's too old.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's like 2017,
Oh man.
I
Okay.
think. So it's too old. But honestly, I don't know if that, like, what does IMAX Enhance even mean? It's just DTS audio. Like that's like there's nothing.
I know, because that's still the whole issue. Is like
Yeah.
they're kind of hand in hand. So
Yeah.
something that supports the DTSX should technically
Still
support
work.
it,
Because let's
So
face it,
that's-
there is no improvement in the video quality of an IMAX enhanced Disney movie. All it is doing is opening up
just-
that aspect ratio, getting rid of the black bars or making them smaller in certain scenes. So like there is no I think it's just like a moniker they put on this thing to try to sell stuff, when really in reality it's just like a new buzzword they've tried to create, and it's kind of worked because
Yeah.
people are like, is the quality going to be better? The quality is the same on the video side.
Mhm.
I don't know what the audio is going to be like. Is it just going to be a different mix? Because everybody for years had said DTS is better than Dolby, when in reality DTS was just louder,
Yeah.
unless it was a completely different mix. Sometimes it was, and then you're not really comparing the codecs, you're comparing the mixes. So it's like, yeah.
Yep. Hopefully, I have answers
Yeah.
for
Well-
y'all.
Well, we'll
But,
be on the lookout for that video. Be on the lookout for my PC build in the Grandia 11 video. It's not really a PC build, but it's just me taking it from one case and putting it in another. Technically, it is a build. So yeah, that should be fun. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you here next week. We'll be in the comments trying to answer some Oro 3D stuff while
Yeah.
our interview with Bert plays. So super.
Also, just last thing, to kind of piggyback off that. Oh wow, totally lost that train of thought.
I mean, it happens. It happens.
Oh,
Damn it.
speaking of IMAX Enhanced on Disney Plus next week, if you're not already following me on Instagram, because it's probably going to be a while to test all these things out, if indeed my setup works. So the video itself, like the long form video on YouTube, is probably going to take some time, but I'll try to post more short form content on Instagram, either stories or reels or whatever. So if you want those updates more frequently, Remember to follow me on Instagram at Elon Osborne to kind of keep up with what's going on and all the little things I'm figuring out as that rolls out next week. So,
It's still Twitter to me. So I knew what you were saying. Never calling it X.
I know, right?
I deleted my Twitter. I don't care. Anyway, no, I didn't delete it. It's just I just never go on it. Social media, what is it? But a construct.
Nothing.
No, it's nothing. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us, guys. Hopefully we'll catch you next week or the week after if you can make it. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we will catch you in the next live stream or in the next video, whichever comes first.
Yay.
Yay.
Ta-ta for now.
Ta-ta. See you guys. Thanks.
Bye.